My name is Nick Balachanu. I try to mediate this panel on artificial intelligence and data analytics. I think it will be very interesting. We'll try to keep it simple. And in the panel, we have a lady from Banca Transilvania, Mariana Kindrich, CTO, and I invite her over here. We also have on the panel, because this is an international conference, we also have a seat, please. Dorel Blitz from Personetics. He speaks from Israel, and he will introduce himself immediately. And we also have Joži Neri from WUP. He's in Hungary. And then we have Eric Cebik, I think, or Cebik. Eric will correct me if necessary, from Vacuum Labs.
Cebik. Hello, everybody.
And here we are. We'll start in just a second with one of the very tricky questions about artificial intelligence and data analytics. I myself in data since I was 14, so that's 40 years ago. I heard of business intelligence, artificial intelligence for many years, but finally we tried to put it at work in banking and have good results with it, right? So I would like them, the panel members here to introduce themselves. I will start with Mariana. A few words, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me here. It's an honor. My name is Mariana Kindrich. I'm the CTO of Banca Transilvania. My career is very linked with Banca Transilvania. I can say that I grew with the bank.
Yep.
I started in 1997 in the bank, and I'm still here, and I'm glad that I can contribute to the success of the bank that it is today. I started in the finance area, and I turned to IT, to technology, and now I'm leading the technology team in Banca Transilvania.
Excellent, congratulations. Such a long live with Banca Transilvania. Yeah. So we have a banker here, and happy to have her. And then I would like to invite Dorel Blitz from Israel, from Personetics. He's the business development of this company. So where are you, Dorel?
Hi.
Could you please?
Hi.
Hi
hey,
there.
good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Nick. First of all, it's always a pleasure to have a client of Personetics, a great client of Personetics like Banca Transilvania on stage with us. So that's great. And nice to meet you all. I'm Dorel. I'm with the company over 3.5 years, in charge of the global strategy and the business development of Personetics. Maybe in 2 words, Personetics is a global category leader in financial data-driven personalization and customer engagement for financial services. We provide a white label, AI-based engagement platform. We are active today with over 70 banks in 30 markets all over the world and keep growing quite fast. And basically, we're helping banks to leverage their biggest asset, their own customers' financial transactional data, in order to quickly drive a significant business impact and market differentiation, and to become much more smart, proactive, financial data-driven, and by doing so, to better sell and to better service their own customers.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah. And now I'd like to invite Joži from WUP to introduce himself, please. Joži?
Yes, hi, good morning. So this is József Nyíri. I'm from WUP by FinShape. We are just in a process of finding a great new name for our company. And we are a banking technology company. We have a so-called personalization platform, which is a financial data-driven engagement, digital marketing, and sales tool. And basically, we work in this very region, CEE, where our clients, Raiffeisen Bank International, BNP Paribas, or Societe Generale, use our platform, but also our services to build data-driven, personalized customer interactions to make their customers use their mobile banking and online banking apps more, and also try to change these channels from a service channels to a sales channels as well. So very, very importantly about how to monetize financial data and how to use it for the good of the customer and the bank as well. And today I'm looking very much for this discussion because I think we are very much like-minded people with Eric, Dorel. We meet time to time, and I'm pretty sure we have some interesting ideas where this domain is going forward.
Excellent. Thank you, Yuji. And now Eric from Slovak Republic. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Čebík. I'm heading applied data science and data solutions at Vacuum Labs. In a nutshell, Vacuum Labs is a company servicing global clients, and we are a digital product builder focusing on fintech. And as you can imagine, the data science part and the data processing part is a nice fit with what we do globally. Building digital banks for clients pretty much all over the world, also focusing on BNPL. So whenever there is a data angle, I would step in and, like Joži and Dorel, my specialty and my heart lies in really leveraging the transaction insights that we can, derive from retail or corporate transactions and making them to good use. And personalization, obviously, and engagement is one of the use cases that is really, really sound and proliferating right now. Historically, we worked with Raiffeisen Bank as well and Erste extensively on the ground, so I can comment on many learnings from those.
All right, thank you. Yep. So, guys, as you can see, we have a panel from different countries covering different banks in different countries in Europe, but not only, if we speak of Personetics. And coming back to the artificial intelligence and data analytics, as discussed before we arrived on the scene here, it's a lot of data, a lot of information that the banks sit on. And I think that most probably they can use the data, the big data, in their favor, in their customer favor, and everybody will happy and join the table, not as a piranha or other whales. I think that artificial intelligence is about clients, is about people, customers, and we'll try to figure out how this technology helps banks, but also customers. We think that artificial intelligence should try to reduce costs, to improve customer experience, customer retention, and can be probably used in the first layer, the front office, in conversational banking, where the bank meets the client. It can be used in the second layer, which is fraud and risk. It's a lot of artificial intelligence that can be used over there and data analytics. And some people say artificial intelligence can be used also in the back office, which is underwriting. I'm not sure about that. And I want to ask now Mariana how Banca Transilvania uses artificial intelligence today, because I was told that Banca Transilvania has a department for artificial intelligence and data analytics, and she is running that department. So it's under your, yeah.
You are right.
Could you tell us more about that? Maybe more information, not secret information, but share with us.
I'll do my best. Yes, artificial intelligence is one of the emerging technology that we were looking for several years back. I remember the year 2017. At that time, we were attending a presentation in an innovation hub in Tel Aviv, and then I first met Dorel, yes. He was the one who introduced us Personetics. At that time. It was perfect
You need
timing.
a microphone, please.
Okay. It was a perfect timing because at that time we were implementing the new digital banking platform, and we were looking for partners to acquire expertise and a platform that will help us to engage with our customers. Back then, we understood that we should rely on the technology to engage with our customers. So few months later, we already had an agreement with Personetics, and we implemented their widget, engagement widget, in our digital platform. We started with 25 insights from the repository, so it was easy to implement it and to benefit from them. Now, this year, we enriched the insight base with another 8 insights, and the other 20 are on the way to be implemented by the end of this year. What I can say is that based on figures, our customers value those insights, and I can say that we have a better engagement with them, and based on the ratings, they value the information they get from the insights. So the aim was not only to engage with them, but to move to the next level, their relationship with the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's a financial education involved here.
Education we all need, yeah.
Exactly.
Especially in Romania.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And this was I would say, the starting point. At that time, we didn't have that kind of skills in the organization, but we early realized we need to build this kind of expertise. It's very valuable for us. And now we have a dedicated team that is doing the development, not only in that area, but also in the area of chatbots.
Yeah.
And RPA, we have an RPA Center of Excellence in the bank. We already have 33 processes that are running. I can say that we are saving 160,000 hours on average every year.
Excellent.
Yes, so...
So the purpose of artificial intelligence in your case is saving costs.
Exactly.
And improve customer experience, right?
Based on figures.
And I'm so happy you put numbers on it, which is pretty rare for a bank, at least here in Romania. Hopefully
we
other
are
banks
very
will
transparent.
Join. Yeah, excellent. So now it looks like the impact, data impact on business is huge. And it can be even bigger if we ask Dorel to tell us more about that. What's his vision on business impact of data analytics and artificial intelligence on banking? What do you think, Dorel?
Basically, I think that, any vendor is as good as his numbers, right? And I think that today, regarding banks, they have 2 issues that they are dealing with. The first one is the relationship model, how they can truly stay in the center of their customers' financial life, how they can really regain their trust, how banks can fulfill their customers' expectations, and the social contract between them and their customers. Definitely now with COVID-19, where there is a less physical and much more digital, and maybe it's going to stay like that. And I think it really comes back to how banks should finally becoming a real-time, cool friend, trusted advisor that is also helping customers to better manage their financial life and to stay on top of their finance and to increase customers' financial wellness and resilience. So it really comes back to this relationship model. That's the first thing. The second thing, coming back to your question, Nick, is the monetization model or the business model. How exactly banks are going to make money out of that? And one of the biggest metrics for banks is LTV, lifetime value of each one of their customers. What is the profitability they can make out of their customers? And from our perspective as a global leader, that's exactly where we are focusing. So I'm really happy that Mariana shared a little bit, not everything, a little bit of what we are doing with Banca Transilvania, and of course with others in different markets. But it really starts by providing a clear and quick business impact. And what we are seeing happening in the market using artificial intelligence and other capabilities is first and foremost is to increase customer engagement, to increase the intimacy, to increase the time spent and the usage within the different digital channels and the non-digital channels. It's also our platform, for example, is also integrating with the bankers or CRM systems with the call centers. So it's really about starting from increasing customers' trust and engagement, and there are specific metrics related to that. The next step of different metrics goes into the ability to better serve and to better sell to these customers. And it deals with all sorts of typical measurable metrics. As an example, account and balance growth, how the bank is capable of increasing the specific customer's account and balance growth, or digital sales growth, or retention. And maybe the most important number from my perspective is conversion rate, the ability to be much more efficient and accurate and finding the right moments in time and the right likelihood and openness of the customer to receive a real-time product-based advice according to his own financial behavior, something that is maybe happening now or maybe about to happen. So the numbers, the business impact metrics from our perspective are the core essence of any bank that is capable of driving that. And maybe the last point I would say, Nick, is about able to create a virtuous customer flywheel. So there is a clear flywheel for banks that are going through different components of our platform, from day-to-day insights and product-based advice and set of automated wellness programs and other capabilities to drive these metrics, lifetime value, which are the lifeblood of our platform or any bank from our perspective.
Cool. So I fully agree with you. And so the impact is there. We can measure it, which is beautiful. It's pretty rare when vendors just sell something. But it looks like we have 3 vendors here in one bank, and they are looking for measurement. So they want to see how technology can really help and what's the impact. Now we are in Romania right now, but we have people from whole Europe. And as you probably all know, there are 28 countries, 28 different cultures. And it's not like in the States where I came from, where we are one on the same 3 credit bureaus, FDIC, very easy. If you move from one state to another, it's very easy. It's pretty the same. Maybe it's the culture a little bit different in terms of immigration and so, but in Europe it's different. So now I wonder if the impact of artificial intelligence developed, let's say, in Romania can be used in Hungary. And I want to ask this question to Eric, if you would like to take this question, please. How important is localization? What you guys as vendors at what banks that are not present only in Romania, but are present also in other countries, should do about that? Are Romanians like Hungarians or Slovak or French? How artificial intelligence can help and should be changed in order to satisfy businesses, but also customers? Eric?
Well, that's a good question, Nick, and thanks for that. So I'm going to build a bit on what Doral just mentioned, and I love the idea of having a smart engagement platform in place that actually helps the client improve the financial well-being and just really takes the client from A to B, right? And our point of view is that, and this is true for any market, you need to get the basics right, and by getting the basics right, you need to really understand the financial context of a customer on a really, really local level. And from our work, what we have seen is that we need to make the investment to understand the pension system, the investment ecosystem in a particular country, how the taxes are paid, who are the non-bank lenders, who are the insurance providers. And once you make the investment, then only then really you can make sound financial advice, because only then you will have the full customer profile, at your hands, upon which you can apply any kind of advisory processes. And this learning came really, really deep with us working with clients in Slovakia, Czech Republic, especially, where we needed to spend really some time and to really localize our classification engine and the event detection engines. And this knowledge is not transferable from one country to another without an investment, and that's where I believe excel out, because as I said upfront, for any kind of virtual advisor to work, which has this sales component to it as well, you need to get the button really right. So you should be aiming at a classification rate of 95% plus, which is understanding bank transfer as well. A lot of information is hidden, and also accuracy 95% plus as well. So I would say, to answer your question, Nick, is that yes, this works across countries, but you just need to make it right before you can bear fruit of any such effort.
Excellent, thank you very much. So we need localizations. There are 20 countries. It's a union, it's not a state, and that's important for everyone, including for banks, Romanian banks going abroad.
I'm afraid I cannot hear you now.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I'm a tech guy since I was 14, but sometimes I forget to push the button. So I was saying that localization is important for Europe and probably for banks having branches or offices in other countries. And I would like to ask pretty the same question, but let's say at a global level to Dorel, because they cover not only Europe but other places in the world. So how you can handle so many countries, how you can figure out how do you do that? Because, okay, you just take and crunch the data, but then it's different. So you start over every time you have a customer, or you just reuse what you have at hand? How it works?
That's a great question, Nick. Thank you for that. That exactly comes back to the title of the panel, artificial intelligence. That's one of the great things about artificial intelligence, that it's not statistical models. This is AI models that can be applicable for any specific market, for any specific financial data sets and the specific culture, and can be trained and can be tuned to the specific market. As I said, we are active today in production in over 30 global markets, which is quite unique in the fintech space, with over 70 banks, and that requires a lot of agility, flexibility, scalability, and also the ability to work in specific market. Eric is completely correct. You need to fully understand the local market. You need to understand the culture, the capabilities, the different regulations, the APIs, the open banking, the open finance, all of that, absolutely. You need to have the local sales, delivery, marketing. You need to be global and local. I call it glocal, maybe. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges, but in order to grow as a global business, you need to combine those efforts. Coming back to your question, Nick, it's really start by a deep understanding of the local level to drive the right level of intimacy, and to have the best-in-class proprietary, patent-protected AI and machine learning models that giving you the ability to work on a local level and to fine-tune, to understand MCC codes and CPKs and all the different spending behaviors and analysis, and also how people are dealing with their finance. There is a huge difference between Romanian people or people in Switzerland or in Germany, where we are active. The local regulator has a different GDPR, data privacy, TREM 2, or whatever different regulations that are applicable. So it definitely requires, a significant amount of capabilities. I think what is unique about us, at least, that we are complementing the great work that banks are doing by themselves. Mariana has built a very great, strong team where we are supporting them and helping them to accelerate their innovation and time to market. And I think the analytical models, the content, the codeless creation and management tools are helping banks to quickly adapt to market changes. And we are helping them to work with different, confluent forces happening in their markets.
Excellent. Thank you. So I would like Yoshi the same question, especially that WOOP is going to change, is going to grow, right? So I don't know if Yoshi would like to announce next move of WOOP, but what do you think about localization? Because you are in different countries as well, in Central Eastern Europe at least.
Yes, thank you, Nit. So our next step in terms of our business and corporate development is that we are more and more doing digital banking processes, which are a logical follow-up to the data-driven personalization, data-driven sales within banks. Because at a lot of banks, we have understood, especially in this part of the world where banking is very well profitable, banks' number one priority is digitalization. Their number one priority is not necessarily how to generate one more lead for a cash loan, but it's more like how I'm building a cash loan fully online digital process, which converts the most. And I would very much resonate with what Dorel said. It's all about conversion. It's all about if we can make data to the right order in order to generate us value. And today, the bottleneck is not the analytical part. It's not the smart people who work for Personetics, Wacom Labs, or WAP, but it's more like, are there enough digital processes to cover up or to follow on all these personalized customer interactions? So we have engaged customers. We know this customer is about to go for a home renovation project. She needs 5,000 euros, but there has to be a very straightforward process in terms of like how to get that 5,000 euros on my account immediately. And that's what we are starting to build more and more low-code digital processes to address this. Number one need today is to digitize as much processes as possible.
Okay.
And as WAP's corporate development, we are becoming FinShape to fulfill this vision as what we say, personalized digital banking. So AI and personalization on its own is a great initiative, but it has to be completed with a very, very strong digital proposition. And this is when it can really fulfill its promise. This is where it can really generate customer engagement deeply, and this is where it can generate deeply value for banks in terms of higher lifetime value by upselling, cross-selling new products to customers and making them possible over these digital channels.
Excellent.
Now, about the localized and global approach, I believe that in terms of enterprise software and banking software, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. And any projects I have seen in the past 20 years consist of like 20-30% of productized components and 78% of custom-made solutions for banks like Banca Transilvania or anyone else. So tier 1, tier 2 banks, they want to differentiate, they are ready to pay for it. And in a lot of cases, it's very much if a bank or if the vendor or any third party has the available resources to be able to deliver that 70%, which is the bigger part of the total solution when it comes to any AI, digitalization, open banking projects, you name it. And we believe very much that the people matter most than the piece of technology.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Yoshi. So we have impact, we have localization, we have chatbots. So I learned about banks chatbots in Romania, And I know that Banca Transilvania has at least 3. One is Raul, Livia was the first, and then is Eno. I learned that other banks like BCR and others have their own chatbots. Are they based on artificial intelligence, Mariana, or are just trying to steal from the bankers, the front office guys? So are they different than the humans or not yet?
I can say that the chatbots that we have developed are completing the picture, I would say. So they will never replace our people.
Okay.
This is our most valuable asset. So
People, not chatbots.
So we invest in our people, giving them the right information and the right tools at the right time to better serve our customers. So here, the chatbots come into play. It's not only a benefit for the bank, but also a benefit for our customers because they are always available. They are not very demanding, so they didn't take holidays. So, I'm joking a bit, but I'm very glad that you mentioned our chatbots.
Yeah.
Livia, Raul.
I like the names, yes.
Yeah, actually
George,
there is,
Becere.
this was part of our strategy to give them a human touch, a human face. Livia is a real person in BT. Actually, she was the product owner. She was the person who contributed the most to give Livia, chatbot Livia live. Yeah. So the same was with Raul, and we have a few others that are not client-facing, but employees-facing chatbots. Yeah. So we have Aida. Aida was trained to solve HR-related issues and is doing quite well. Actually, we are an organization with almost 10,000 employees. Imagine those 10,000 employees will ask for a holiday or have different needs. So Aida is the perfect partner to solve their problems. We have another chatbot dedicated for our people in the front end. It's trained to give advice for people that are doing mostly operations. So, with a huge impact. And we see the benefits already.
Excellent, okay.
Yes, and we have another one actually, Eno, that is dedicated for our call center interactions. So call center is an area in the bank where there is a lot of potential to use artificial intelligence and machine learning to remove the friction.
Okay, sounds good, thank you, yeah. So guys, the other vendors here, except me, which I'm not a vendor of AI, I know you don't do chatbots, and I would like you to think out of your box and ask you, Dorel, what do you think about chatbots? Are they artificially intelligence-based, or they are just copying humans? What do you think would be?
From my perspective, and again, well done, Mariana. I think that chatbots are a great another channel that it's still growing globally, and it still needs to find its way, I think. And we are seeing some nice nice examples coming out of the US. As an example, Bank of America with Erica, or one of our clients, Wells Fargo, now launching their own Fargo chatbot. And yes, by the way, we are also providing chatbots at Personetics, but I think chatbot from our perspective, it's just a very important channel, but basically it has the same backbone framework of technology in terms of AI models, accessing financial data, analyzing that, providing meaningful interactions. What is maybe different about chatbot, the content needs to be much more straightforward, much more short, much more problem solving, and there is a lot of push, there is a lot of in and out or back and forth discussion with the client, or at least the ability to gain a feedback from the client in real time, and then to quickly in real time adapt to the client, answer. So there's a lot of self-learning mechanisms, different models that needs to support these problem statements. I think that chatbots are a great channel, and that's the way I look at that. It's just another channel to support quick interactions with the client. You won't expect a client to spend more than, I don't know, 3-4 minutes on a chatbot, because it's on the go. Chatbot is something that you're doing when you are leaning forward and doing that on the go. You're not leaning back and taking the time and going through other stuff. And I think it's a great, as a part of, robotic process automation and backend, operational efficiency. I think the chatbot will help banks better today when, when the COVID-19 really closing a lot of channels, and of course physical channels. It will be a great tool to quickly support people on the go. So I think it's a great channel, but still, there's a lot of place to grow with the true capabilities and the business impact of a chatbot.
Yeah, thank you, Dorel. Now, because I don't know if you know, Eric is the head of applied data science. So he's more knowledgeable in terms of technology than all of us here are. And I'll ask him the same questions about the chatbots. And I'll go a little bit further and ask when chatbots will build their own chatbots. So when the robots will build robots in banking. What do you think, Eric, here?
I think that's wonderful. Now we are talking about exponential technology, pretty much the technology building on itself and expanding on its own. It's one of the big, huge philosophical questions, and whoever jumps on the train early on will get a huge advantage here. But on the subject of chatbots, I come from a bit of a skeptical background here because I haven't seen a really, really good chatbot in place. It's a complex matter to be able to understand the language, the nuances, and come back with an answer. So, in my opinion, this is something that will need to be cracked in the future. But I do agree with one thing, that when it comes to simple tasks, and it's a nice way to answer the most frequently asked questions to people would ask, and direct the communication, which brings savings, when it comes to servicing your clients. So there is a use. I'm just waiting for the time when the chatbot will be indistinguishable from humans. Right. And to be honest with you, we would need to get people from Google here to bring us really up to speed as to where the latest NLP, natural language processing technology stands, and when we can expect to have a really a chatbot that actually would be able to replace a person. Up until then, obviously there are cost savings over here, and it's a nice servicing channel, but I still think there's some room to grow here.
All right, yeah, thank you for your input. So, Yoji, shall I ask you the same question, or shall we talk about the PFM and how PFM can be developed and changed, and what's the difference between them? Because everybody's, it's just a buzzword, or it's like, you guys, you develop different stuff, different algorithms, different ways of thinking. Do you put in the shoes of the bankers? It's just crunching data at hand. How do you see that?
Yeah. Let's talk about that because I have a similar view on chatbots what Eric had, and I just don't want to repeat that one. But I think when it comes to use of financial data for especially retail banking customers, PFM was a prime use case 10 years ago or even more now. And PFM was a trend which was very promising, but it didn't, again, fulfill its promise because we provided data analytical tools to the hands of the very customers themselves. So, okay, now you can dig into your own data, you can analyze, you can find insights in it if you are clever enough, if you have enough time, or if you have enough motivation. And 95% of the customers don't have that motivation, don't have that time or effort. And this is what PFM projects provided, is like 5% of the customers were actually monthly active users or even less. And then it died down in the mid of 2010 or 15, so that time. And what we bring to the table with Eric and Dorel and myself is more like how to provide customers a relevant piece of information from their financial data, from that analytical power that we build underneath, and how to make only customer notifications, only customer messaging, providing them proactive insights when it is important to look at, when it is important to show them something. And the form factor is not a big analytical app, but it's a bite-sized pieces of information fitting on a mobile phone screen, because that's what current customers' attention span allows. Nothing else. They want to see very quick, very informative and very relevant pieces of information, sometimes even an animated manner. And this is why with WAP, we came up with what we call money stories, which is like an Instagram-like animated stories, trying to catch that customer's attention and provide them only the relevant pieces of information that, hey, you've been overspending. Hey, look at that particular cost that it might be an outlier one, or there is a big incoming bonus. Maybe you want to put it into savings. So only when it's relevant, especially retail banking customers, they are not finance persons. They only want to take the time to manage their finances as much as necessary and not more. And we should appreciate that.
Excellent, thank you. So what you say, what I hear is that the PFMs can coexist. You can, a bank can have different technologies from different companies. They can build their own technology. They can train their own algorithms. So it's an open market. It's not just one PFM in the world and that's it, and the world will end with that. When we talk about artificial intelligence and data analytics, we just crunch personal data as well. So we go into sensitive data. And I wonder what's the impact. I mean, GDPR is going to influence the way you process data. Is someone coming after you and say, hey, you have to stop doing that? Because at least I know in Europe, for example, social scoring is prohibited, which is strange to me. But how is inside the bank? How you can, do you tell users, hey, I'm going to analyze your data? No.
Okay, although we have a lot of data, we are struggling the same challenges as any other fintech company or third-party company that are aiming to analyze and make use of the data. So we have to make sure that we are not breaching the data privacy, that we are applying anonymization of the data, and using the data that the customer empowers us to use it. It's a big challenge, because although we have the information and we can help our customers and we have better service our customers, we are not allowed to do it if the customer does not give us consent to use it.
So maybe GDPR is a barrier when it's about artificial intelligence, when it's about sensitive personal and financial data is the most important one. Or you change your mind? No.
Not necessarily. I mean, artificial intelligence is a proper tool to process huge amount of data, not necessarily linking with the particular customer or person.
Sure.
So I don't see a barrier here. So you can understand, you can improve your processes based on the findings, based on the insights. There is still room for improvement when it comes to interacting with the customers.
Okay, so it's important because I don't know, there are millions, billions of financial consumers, finance consumers, and some of them, they just raise eyebrows and say, hey, what the bank is doing with my data, what the bank is doing with my identity. Where is my identity? Is with my state, it is my bank. And I know companies saying, well, you can enroll in this application with your bank. So probably still, and I hope that bank consumers, bank clients, they very much count on banks from centuries. So I think they want to be sure they are in safe hands and ready to talk, to walk with the banks all life long. So we are done here. We respect the law. We have GDPR. We have data protection. Everything is in place. I know there are some barriers, and I just wanted to ask you if there is any artificial intelligence during the digital enrollment. Do you use any, because this is part of the conversational banking. When you enroll digitally a client, you have first to respect the law, which is very tough on that, and then you want to make the life easier during the enrollment, smoother than, you know, just like in the branch. How it works for you?
We are using it in our onboarding processes, and not only in the onboarding. Actually, we started with the very first step in the digital journey, the know your customer, to properly identify the person. We use image recognition. We use picture comparison just to make sure that we identify the person right. We extract the data, we extract the picture, we compare the picture with the data we already have in our database. And currently, actually, we are running a POC. This is something that maybe
you shouldn't tell us about, but you
I
can
shouldn't
keep it for,
say, actually. But I'm proud of my team. They are trying to process video calls and to identify a voice pattern.
That's nice to see if your customers are happy or not.
Exactly, to streamline and remove the frictions from the interactions in the call centers with our customers. And we reach 80% accuracy. So
80%?
Yes.
Excellent. Congratulations. So Mariana is the CTO of Banca Transilvania, so she's in love with the technology. But now, coming back to the vendors, you guys, you have these nice software platforms. You interconnect all the bank's modules. So you talk to the CRM, you talk to transactions, you count, crunch. So you are well connected when you go into a bank, right? Now I want to ask you a little bit of tricky question. Do you think that your software will be sold as a service in the future? Do you see the PFM as a service? So let's say you can just do that in your office and then provide the bank back with the data. How do you see that? I will start with Joži first.
All right, thank you. So Nick, if you refer to software as a service type of delivery model, I think it is more and more there. And in our part of the world, CEE, it is still not widely spread for business critical applications, and especially applications who work with customer data. But there are some clever ways how to actually achieve it with anonymization that Mariana has mentioned, and also how to keep really sensitive data within the bank's perimeters and only outsource the calculating power to a cloud-based solution. So it is all up and coming, and more chief information security officers are buying into this concept because they are the ones who needs to be convinced at the end of the day and the tremendous work is being done by Amazon, Microsoft, IBM Financial Cloud lately to really push that it is a much more cost-effective and much more operationally effective way of providing banking applications from the cloud.
Okay, thank you. Dorel, what do you think of that? PFM will be as a service ever, or just?
No, I completely agree. I think that it's inevitable. We are already, I think today have like 10 clients using Personetics as a software as a service. And we are using different data centers in Ireland, in Switzerland, in other markets. And I think it's inevitable. I wouldn't call that PFM, by the way, but because it goes really beyond and above. But basically, I think that the movement of banks into different cloud ecosystems, and it's an ecosystem. It's not just Google or Amazon or or Microsoft. Basically, it's all of them, and it doesn't really matter. But it's almost inevitable, this operational efficiency and the agility and the scalability. So it's not really a question of yes or no. It's really a question of when and what's the pace of that. So we as a vendor, at least, we are already doing that with some of the largest banks in Europe. We have one of the largest banks in France, one of the largest bank in Ireland, in the UK, in the Nordics. They're already working on their own cloud or environment, and we already have some clients on complete SaaS. So I do believe that data, and basically when you are combining open banking, open finance regulation, so the data is actually flowing outside, inside of banks. Data is not really being guarded by the banks. It's actually maybe connected to the customers, and they can trade it, they can monetize that. So definitely, I think there is a clear trend. The question is always the pace and how much the regulators will really support that. But yes, we as a company, as a vendor, we are already there.
All right, yeah, thank you. I know it was a tricky question, but now, what about vacuum labs? Eric, what do you think of that? Is it possible? It's possible one day for banks, and why not about consumers to have their own view of your views? So what if I, Nick Balachano, I have accounts with all the banks in the world, and I say, oh, what Banca Transilvania thinks of me? Can I see that, or what do you think? So can I see what Vacuum Labs thinks of me, what Personetics thinks of me, or any other providers?
So we'll see about that, Nick. But to answer the former question, undoubtedly, what we are seeing is that the classic on-prem installations are moving to the cloud. We see a rise of digital cloud native, cloud native banks, and they are springing up. So when we just look at the plethora of all the banking as a service providers, out there, usually cloud-based enterprises. So delivering PFM and analytics as a service is something that is already happening, I believe. And in our case, we are building such a platform in the Indian market out of, imagine, understanding Indian transactions. It's challenging, but it's really, really interesting. Something similar in Philippines as well. So yes, I think the movement is there.
Okay.
Well, in the within the banking ecosystem, and then as Dorel said, and Jože as well, I mean, in Europe, with the PSD2 and the open banking in place, I mean, the data is already flowing out. So any third parties who want to benefit from transaction insights, they pretty much buy the service from us as a SaaS. And yeah,
all right.
A simple answer to this, really.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so I would like to mention the questions were not asked before. The panel didn't know about the questions, and I wanted to be a free speech, free will kind of sharing information, and I think it's useful. And this is in accordance with what Seju Kone is looking for. So tough questions, answers can be no, yes, or I don't want to answer, so it's not a problem. But coming back to Banca Transilvania, because it's the only bank here, so having so many vendors, having your own department, will you go for a buy or for a develop kind of approach? What can you mix them up? How do you see that?
We always go for a hybrid model. So we believe that we can build some of the expertise inside the organization, the one that is the core value for us, but we need to focus on the business. So we need to rely on partners and to acquire already built expertise in the market to best use it and make value for us and for customers as well. So there are many examples already that the bank is embracing a partnership model. So one of them is Personetics, but it's not the only one. We have many others partnerships settled, and a lot in the pipeline. So, I see the benefits because coming back to your previous question, to use a technology as a software as a service, it brings a lot of value because you have although you have a lot of data, you rely on your data and your context to train the model. So the more data you put in the model, the more insightful the results.
Yes, true. Excellent. Yeah, so I mean, all banks should be like that, trying to be not a whale, but just a fish, and swimming with other small fish. I mean, I don't like the piranha world because, or the piranha word actually. I think I'm a fintech myself, and I'm glad to hear that some of the banks are not looking at us like piranha. We don't want to do banking. We want to do artificial intelligence. We want to do scoring. We want to do digital stuff around. We want to empower customers of our customers or the retail people, the real people directly, and that will be good for everyone. Everyone will benefit of that. So think of the gain that Daniel presented today. So if one day we'll have our own identity, we can use it wherever we go. Imagine on top of the global identity, we'll have our creditworthiness with us in our pocket. So if I go back to the States, I say, hey, this is what I done in Romania, this is my creditworthiness, I pay my taxes, I paid my loans and everything. Probably Americans will say, no, I don't care, we have our own stuff. But one day, maybe, people will be in charge of their own financial data, have their own information at hand, and can discuss, negotiate with banks and taxes and everyone else. I think we are timing up, or not yet. So I think we went through almost everything. We covered just conversational banking, which is the front office of a bank. We didn't cover the fraud and risk. I think artificial intelligence can do a very good job over there. So it's not the credit bureaus. In other countries, there are 3 or 4. In Romania, it's 1. I think that data it's important. I think each bank will benefit of that with the help of the vendors, with the help of partners like those present here. And going back a bit to PSD2, where is a little bit of fight and something was not working well, and people talk about PSD3 when PSD2 is not yet in place. Probably here is where banks can work together and expose data with the consent of the users, of course. And just like my good friend here, because I'm on the board of directors of the Raw FinTech Association myself, I met Cosmin and we started this association 2 years ago with this purpose, not of eating the meals of the banks, but helping banks and users to coexist. So as Mariana said, thankfully, was yeah, we want to work with you guys. We don't want to fight you. Okay, you are smaller than us, but you can bring value because being smaller, you move faster. So Finquare is here and willing to share his experience with National Bank of Romania, with getting a license. Smart FinTech as well. They already manage that. Congratulations. So I think FinTech and banking will coexist from now on. And some of the FinTechs acquire some banks, if you don't know that, not only in other countries, but in Romania as well. So it's a good start. Anything to add at the end, Dorel?
No, thank you for
You are
inviting
good.
us. I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Eric?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I think one thing we may address at some later point is the rise of, and the strengths of independent financial brokerages and advisors who have been, gaining in strength, and we see some of them turning into banks in this part of the world, and how to address such phenomena from the banking perspective. But would be a good time for a good discussion at some later point. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Yoshi?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and hopefully we can meet next time in person in Bucharest.
All right, thank you. And
Yes.
Mariana, because you started it, you have to end this nice panel today. What's the future of artificial intelligence in Romania, actually? Because it's not just Banca Transilvania, there are about 20, 30 banks here. So what do you think of that? Will spread out, everybody will use it?
I want to discuss what artificial intelligence means for Romania, but I will discuss what artificial intelligence means for the bank, because know the bank better. So I really believe that artificial intelligence will be an important pillar in the strategy of the banks of the futures. Because if we want to make a smarter banking, we need to use the proper tools to do it. So the artificial intelligence is just the perfect technology that can bring value in the financial sector, because we have the ingredients, so we have the data. We have to make use of that data and unleash the power of the data.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So banks are willing to use data. They are willing to work with fintechs. This is good news, the best news today. I don't know what will be next, but let's stay here and listen to the next panel and learn more about that. So thank you, everyone here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.